Greetings one and all, and welcome to a new Let's Play for my channel, made possible by the generous donation of the game by Raven. I welcome you to Beyond Earth. Right, to get this out of the way, this video is going to be a fairly short one. It is just going to be a setup video with a little bit of a disclaimer, I guess. But before we do any setting up or disclaiming, I'm going to answer one question that a lot of people are likely going to have, and that is this Alpha Centauri? It is not. Nor, however, is it Civilization 5. It is built on the same engine, so there are a staggering amount of resemblances to Civilization 5. It, so far, touch wood, hasn't, to my eyes, been fraught with the kind of bugginess that Civ 5 had out of the gate. This has had a much smoother launch, in my humble opinion. Now, where I said that this is not Alpha Centauri, I am going to go further and say it is the most Alpha Centauri-like not Alpha Centauri that you are ever likely to find. And I say that with a lot of love, because I happen to be one of the many, many people who hold Alpha Centauri as a kind of pinnacle of 4X. This isn't Alpha Centauri, but it has a very... It has Alpha Centauri spirit running through it. That's the best kind of description I can give you. There will be, no doubt, be many who disagree, or many that agree, or many that just actually feel this is Alpha Centauri for the modern computer. But I don't think it's quite that far. But suffice it to say, what little I've played of it, I have had a lot of fun, and I think this is, yeah, it's a really, really good successor to Alpha Centauri. It's not Alpha Centauri 2, but it carries Alpha Centauri's spirit along with it. It's burning a torch. Whether it's Alpha Centauri's torch or not, that is for you to decide. But moving on from that, we have a bit of setting up to do. I am going to be playing a single-player game. Now, the disclaimer part of what I wanted to go over was I'm not especially good at these games. I like to think I'm alright. I'm certainly not so low in the rankings that I'd need to play on Mercury. For stock moderate AI players receive a few advantages to improve their play. Hard AI players receive small advantages to improve their play. We'll probably go with... I'm between Vostok and Gemini. If I was familiar with this game, I've played a very quick, a few hours on it so far. I just played through one very standard basic game, just to familiarize myself with a couple of the new systems. I didn't want a enemy unknown shenanigans sort of thing to happen where I didn't realize that engineers needed to be there. Oh my lord, I haven't built any satellites kind of thing going on. But I didn't want to really spoil the game for myself either. But If I was playing this and I was familiar with it, I'd probably be between Gemini and Soyuz, but I'm going to go for Gemini. Now, I'm doing this with the full expectation that things will be hard. I'm not going to boss the AI around. I may well lose. And if I lose, then I lose. That is the disclaimer. I'm not going to say that I'm going to be able to win this, and you shouldn't watch this if the idea of me getting to the middle of the game or even the late game and then losing frustrates you horribly, because that is a very real possibility, and it's kind of why I like games like this. I enjoy it when I lose, and I know that sounds silly, but many games, it's almost a foregone conclusion that I'm going to win. I'll just be stubborn enough that eventually it's like a war of attrition, and I've got more stubbornness than the AI has. But in these kinds of games, it's quite probable, well, maybe not probable, but certainly possible that I'll lose. Game pace. Generally, I like to play it on much longer games, but for the sake of a series, I'll play it on standard for this one. If I enjoy it, and if I get through the game too fast, or if I die really quickly, then maybe I'll try one of the larger difficulties. But I'll quickly go over what they are. Quick, the number of turns required to complete various tasks is compressed. Good for players who don't like to wait around too much. Standard, the default game pace. Epic, production, research, etc. all take a fair amount longer than when playing on standard speed. The game is balanced to take longer, but still feel like a normal game. And marathon, which is generally what I like to play. I like to play a game of Civ 5, for example, over several days. This extremely long game speed will allow almost an entire normal game's worth of turns many times over in a single playthrough. we won't be doing that. I won't torture you with a several hundred episode long Let's Play, but we'll definitely go for standard. As for map size, dual 2 players, dwarf 4 players, small 6 players, standard 8 players, and massive 8 players with more open space. I'm going to say standard so that we get the full complement of players. I think that will give us the most interesting game and also give me a little bit more room to play around with. The test game I played was on small, it was on Mercury, it was on quick game pace. I just wanted to rush through and just generally get a feeling for it. Now, we have, much like Alpha Centauri, we have individual leaders for different types of ideologies that were launched into space. Different nations came together and launched their kind of version of the future forward. Their spaceship had some sort of visionary that embodied their ideology and culture. The options are the African Union, who gain 10% food in growing cities when the population is healthy. That's actually pretty good. That would mean you'd get a very quick population. But health, for those who are familiar with Civilization 5, is, you could roughly equate it to happiness. Brasilia, units have 10% combat strength in melee combat. I see. So they are the Spartans of this game. Cavathian Protectorate, cities and outposts acquire new tiles twice as fast. So that's kind of like culture growth in Civ 5. Polystralia, plus 2 trade routes available for the capital city. That is actually pretty powerful. Trade, from what little I've seen of the game, is extremely powerful in Beyond Earth. So that is a particularly good starting option there. Slavic Federation. Orbital units stay in orbit 20% longer, and the first one launched grants a free technology. That's pretty good. So they would heavily rely on having orbital satellites then, or at least they should, given that's their bonus. Franco-Iberia, or Liberia. I'm never sure. I imagine that's Iberia, because let's see. Are there any other examples of capital L? No, I can't see it, but I'm going to assume that's Iberia. Gain a free technology for every 10 virtues developed. Virtues are pretty important in this game. You will be generating virtue. It's not like religion or anything like that, even though the term is perhaps has a bit of a religious connotations. This is like policies in Civ 5. Pan-Asian Cooperative, 10% production towards wonders and 25% worker speed. Now that is particularly good. The worker speed especially, you are going to want to rely on workers quite heavily. And then ARC, I believe this is the American Reclamation Corporation. Covert operations are 25% faster and cause 25% more intrigue. Now, that is also a very, very powerful ability. Covert operations, probably more in this game than in any other game, other than possibly Alpha Centauri, because they were pretty powerful in there as well. Covert operations are really important here as well. So for me, honestly, if I'm going to pick, it would be between Polystralia and ARC. I don't know, the whole Illuminati thing kind of sways me off a little bit. But I'm kind of feeling that maybe I should just click on random and then just let the dice tell me what I'm going to be and try and play with my hand the best I can. No, we're going to actually go for Polystralia. We'll see what we can do. Now, the next one, choose colonist. We can have random, or we can have artists, which give +2 culture and 1 health in every city. We can have +2 production in every city for engineers. Aristocrats, +3 energy and 1 health in every city. That's actually pretty good. Energy is effectively your currency in this game. Refugees, +2 food in every city, or scientists, +2 science in every city. I'm going to... I don't know. I think we're going to go with artist. I kind of like this idea of the Polystralian artist colonies, full of free thinkers and very cultured people. They enjoy life. They love the living of life. They're not workers. They're not gluttons. They're not particularly intelligent, which is a shame. I would also like that. Aristocrat would probably be a really good one as well, but we're going to go with this. Health is actually pretty important and will offset the health negative you get from every city you make. Also, Spacecraft. Now, this is quite interesting. When we first set out, the Spacecraft is going to dictate kind of like a starting boon for us. We can either have Continental Surveyor, which reveals coasts on the map. So right from the beginning, although there'll be fog of war, we will see all of the coasts that the world has. So that would be really, really useful for us to kind of work out where's an island, where's an actual continent, things like that. Retrograde Thrusters, wider area for choosing where to land the first city and additional visibility around starting area. Now, this is actually a bit of a deviation from the previous Civ games where you would start with a settler and you could pick your starting locations. With this, you start with a city, but you can pick where the city lands. You'll be given it'll like randomly pick an area on the map, but then you've got a couple of hexes that you can select from to choose the best of your starting location. This would just give you a larger area to choose from, thus give you potentially a better starting area. But if the area is not particularly useful for you, then this would be wasted. So I'm going to stray away from that one. Tectonic Scanner. No technology is needed to see petroleum, geothermal, and titanium resources. That could be useful for deciding where you're going to set up your outpost cities. Fusion Reactor. Begin with 100 energy at standard speed. That is just a flat, you start with more money. Or life form sensor. Reveal alien nests on the map. Now, alien nests are quite important. Honestly, of all of these, I think the Continental Surveyor and the life form sensor are the better ones to go for, from what little I know of the game. And I am going to go for the Continental Surveyor. I wouldn't mind knowing where all the coasts are. All right, choose cargo. We can go with hydroponics. We will start with an extra population in the first city. We can go with a laboratory. Begin with the pioneering technology. This is actually really, really useful because pioneering technology is needed for creating your first colonists. Raw materials begins with a clinic building in your first city. That's actually quite useful as well because that will help with health. Weapon arsenal. Begin with a soldier unit, or machinery. Begin with a worker unit. We're going to go with machinery, I think, so that we start with a worker and we can immediately start improving our starting area. I think that would be very, very useful for us. So, yeah, we'll go with that. And we'll move on. Right, this is the last thing that we're going to set up and will probably be the end of this video. We can rescan for planets, examine a different region of space for habitable planets. We're basically choosing our world. There's Jameson, which is a Terran world, a world with a few large land masses separated by oceans and some smaller islands. Icarus, protein world. Protean, I think that's pronounced actually. A world of one ocean and one very large continent. Continuous landmass with the possibility of smaller coastal islands, or Atlantean world, a world of islands of varying sizes separated by narrow water passages. We can go with random world. The world will randomly pick one of these planets for you to play. Or advanced worlds, a unique planet that offers greater challenge for experienced players. No, not this time through anyway. You can rescan for planets and you basically got the same three options, but you can have different names really. McCall. We could go with McCall, Terran world. We will be going with the Terran world though. I think that'll give us the more interesting play. But that is it for this setup video. As I said at the beginning, this is just to, so I don't have to really include this in the main part of the Let's Play, and also, not everyone is interested in seeing this, so for those who are interested in seeing exactly how we've set this up, you can watch this video, although if you've gotten to this point, you already have, and those who aren't, they can just skip this video altogether. So, yes, we are going to be embarking on an adventure. Hopefully one that we succeed in, but there is no guarantee of that. So, for better or worse, we have made our bed, and it is time to lie in it.